All right, how to A/B test when you can't use Google Optimize. There's rumors right now that Google Optimize is going away, and that sucks because one of the cool things about it was free, easy to use, and it let you do interesting stuff with the web pages without knowing how to code. Luckily, you only need to know a very little amount of code in order to replicate it. This is maybe even a good idea to do in general. I found with these A/B testing tools, there's like a flicker, so like when you land on the page, it's like not fast enough because it has to load all of its crazy library and then it makes the changes. I like to do this anyway. Um, so say you wanted to change this, right? So one of the cool things you could do in Google Optimize and in Optimize before it, so you could like click on it in their tool and then change it to whatever you want. Growth hackers, whatever, and it would change. And then you go, great, this is what I want to test, and you'd hit the button. That's not possible anymore. And obviously, if you do this in the browser and you refresh the page, then nothing's going to happen because it's just going to reload. But you can still kind of plan your tests out this way. So if you say you wanted to change the button color, you inspect, then you can see that this has an ID of intent indicator. You can actually click on it and say copy selector. That's useful. And then you can, again, you only need to know a little bit of code. If you just type in document and then call it like query selector, and then paste that in. Then you, did I do something wrong? Document.query selector. Oh yeah, you didn't need this section. Oh, here you go. Then you get your button. And here it is. If you want to kind of change that button, you can actually just make changes directly here. So you can say, like, what's this style, background color, we want that to be light green. Why not? It looks terrible, but there you go. If that's what you wanted to do, you could also change it and say, I want the text to be free access. And maybe that's the A/B test that your heart desires you want to run. So stupid example, but like that's what you want to do. Right. So how do we actually make this persist? Well, the good thing is we have Google Tag Manager, and Google Tag Manager can help us make changes in JavaScript on our website without needing to deploy anything to our website. We don't need to bother developers to do this. And we probably should tell them, right? It's not going to bother them to tell them that you're changing something. It'll bother them a lot, actually, if you change things and you don't tell them. So just be careful here. Cool. So how do we make this actually run on the website? Well, we can go to tags and we can set up, some code. You can actually don't even need all this stuff, right? Here's some code I made earlier. When I'm testing this stuff, I like to just go have an alert, which is like it's loaded, right? So you can just see that whether it worked or not pretty easily. Here's the tag, right? And don't worry about the triggers and stuff right now. But if you wanted to, you can just like save this, and then when you hit preview, you go through to your website, you load that page, then when that loads, it should say, yeah, look, it's loaded, right? And then, we've made this change here, the green button. Cool. So that's not an A/B test, though. That's just making a change. But how do we make an A/B test? So if you look in here, I have the version B, right? What does that mean? So I'm only triggering it based on the version. So if you look at this, it says on page views, but not all page views, just some page views. And I only want to fire on the version when the page views, the version matches. This is using regular expressions. Don't worry too much about that. Slot, and then either slot 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you wanted to do this, you could do something similar. You set this up. Now, how does it know what this version is, right? Where does that come from? Well, that is just coming from, if we go to variables, And if we go down to custom variables, we made a little custom variable for this. So let's just look at here, yeah, version. And this is the code that we use to do this. So we have to randomize the visitors for an A/B test. And that's what this part is doing. It's giving a random number times 10 slots. So that's going to give us slots 0 through 9. And that will assign a random number on every page view to everyone. But then we're not going to get the same number again. So if I visit another page or if I refresh the page, I'm going to get something different. So how do I persist it? Well, that's what the local storage thing is. What that's doing is first looking in local storage, which is just in the browser. Is there a version for this person? And it's going to get the version and then pass that along. And if there isn't a version, then it's going to create one and then store it in local storage for me. So if we go back to this page, we right-click, inspect, and then we go through to the application, we can see we are in slot 9. Now, what if I change this to slot 2? Let me just refresh the page. Not in the test. Cool. Let's inspect again. And let's change it back to slot 9. And then refresh. And then refresh. Mess up. Slot 9. Yeah. I think I broke it. Oh yeah, here we go. So open up a different page. So now I am in the experiment, right? Cool. So that should give you a really good idea of how this works. It just randomizes the users, stores it in local storage, and then if they're in slots 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then you can show them a version. And that's really all you have to do. You can obviously run as many experiments as you want. Like you could, instead of having this trigger for version B, right? You can actually have, multiple triggers. So you can have version A, B, C, D, E, F, G up to 10. And then you could run multiple different experiments or like multiple different versions. It's really up to you. But hopefully this gives you a good mental model for how that works. The other thing to think about is in terms of tracking, you probably want to add add something to your, like if you're doing GA for I am, then you probably want to add something. I think, no, it's not here. It's user properties, right? And the user property, I'm just going to make this version. Sorry. I got this wrong. What did I do? That should be version, sorry. So that's going to input the value of the version for that user. And then I'm just going to call this version, so it's a property name. And if you do that, now when you're in Google Analytics 4, you'll be able to filter down to those users based on their version and then report on it afterwards. This is a simple way to do that in any analytics package. There's always like a user level property you can set. Cool. And that's how you report in your A/B test now. You can just filter down to like people who got to that page and then what version were they in and then whether they did, any conversions afterwards. Cool. Hopefully that was helpful.